Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey watching Married at First Sight. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Let's see if anything of interest comes out of my face.
You haven't been honest with me. Before the marriage, to the honeymoon.
What are you talking about?
It's not my place anymore to say it.
He still won't tell me what that's about. It's probably worth mentioning while he was calling me a liar, he started a friendship behind my back with one of my friends that he met at the wedding. And I just found out about that.
What are they talking about?
She conveniently deleted the conversation, and he hasn't shared that with me either. But apparently they talk.
So I'm really glad that the experts, particularly the couples therapist, is involved finally. Now, I wonder what the purpose of this conversation is. That's always the key as a professional. Now, of course, this isn't real therapy, but she is a real therapist, so maybe she can approach this in a therapeutic way. We'll see. But I always have this question of when they have these conversations, what's the purpose? Is it to help Mindy loosen up a little bit and accept Zach back into her life? Is it to help Mindy to clarify what she wants? Is it to help Mindy explore what she wants? Is it to validate Mindy's feelings? So on this show, they often seemingly are really trying to shove the people back together. Maybe that is what the couples want. I don't know, because they're editing this so severely. So we'll see what happens in this situation.
A lot of the details, their stories just aren't the same. So I have no idea. And I think that he's needed a reason to not move in and to not be a good husband, so...
He's needed bricks for the wall.
Right.
You still never moved in with her.
Right.
Why?
Based on what I've seen, it doesn't prove to make anything better. And I know it goes against the norm, but...
Yeah,
that's
because
kinda where we're
married
at.
people live together.
Sure.
So again, I'm glad that Cal is getting involved. I often like his approach, but these people are not exhibiting what I would call to be therapy. What I would call it is a coaching session or something of trying to get them back together. Cal, from the beginning, has been pressuring Zach, I think quite explicitly, to fall in love and move in with Mindy. In therapy, no good therapist would ever do that. A good therapist would say, and Cal isn't a therapist, and this isn't therapy, but if I was talking to Zach, I would say, what's going on? What do you want? Do you want me to help you explore? Do you want me to help you figure out how you're going to fall in love with Mindy? What do you want? Do you even want to talk to me? That is what therapy is. Therapy is voluntary. It's not something that is imposed on someone. A lot of television therapy-like sessions, meaning like Dr. Phil, these kinds of things, they end up having an approach of a very one-down, a very power-oriented style of talking, which is not therapy. When I started out as a therapist, before I was a therapist, I actually thought that's what therapy was. I thought that's what I was going to be trained to do, but I ended up being trained in the complete opposite. It's like you don't want to be top down. You don't want to be powerful and tell people what to do. You want it to be the opposite. You want the client to be in power. You want to listen to the client. What do they want to do? What do they want to get out of this conversation? So I'm just pointing that out because I don't want anyone to be confused. I don't want anyone to confuse this with therapy.
Oh, before I go any further, let me ask you a question. Have you been faithful to her?
Absolutely.
Have you been emotionally faithful to her?
Absolutely.
So, did Mindy ever know about the conversations?
She did not. I guess I just struggled to bring it up.
Why would Mindy's friend talk to you without telling her that she was talking to you?
I have no idea.
So it's very fishy. Who knows what's going on? But that's a very fishy thing to say. One, that Lindsay didn't tell Mindy. And two, most importantly, that Mindy's husband, Zach, didn't tell. Didn't say, by the way, I'm talking to your friend. I mean, it would have been that simple. Why would you keep that from your wife? It doesn't usually mean good things.
You sound like you want to try to give him a second chance. Where is that coming from?
I would hate to, be the one that gives up. I committed to this, and if he is genuine about changing things, I feel okay with giving him a shot, but I don't know if he's genuine or not, and I don't know how to tell.
So the marriage and family therapist, she asked a really great question. She's like, sounds like you want to give him a second chance. Where's that coming from? It's a really good question. It really got to the heart of the matter, to allow Mindy to explore and express and be validated. Hopefully she'll validate her feelings, which is good. So it doesn't seem to be any pressure that this therapist is putting on Mindy, that the therapist is allowing Mindy to talk and explore and figure out her life for herself.
Give it to me straight. Are you committed to Mindy and to this marriage?
If I were to say today, this isn't going to work, I wake up tomorrow with a ton of regret. You can't walk away from still unknown when you have an opportunity.
So Cal's face says it all, of like, okay, you're saying that you're dedicated and that you want to give this a chance, but you're not exhibiting that attitude, because it doesn't seem like you behaviorally actually want to be in this marriage. In fact, it seems almost like you want to be with her friend more than you want to be with your wife. So, I mean, who knows what's going on, but yeah, it's interesting. I would just wonder what is up with Zach. It's really hard for me to conceptualize what's going on for him. If we just look at the facts, we see a confusing, almost obscuring way of communicating about his inner life. Roundabout, a lot of people, including me and a lot of people on the show, react to him with confusion. Like, I don't understand. He said a lot of words, but I don't understand what he's saying. So why would someone be like that? Well, there's a lot of possibilities. And I've hypothesized about him before, but he's just increasingly confusing me as to what's going on. Now, that's not necessarily to say that he has a very confusing personality. When people are very forward with their emotions, when they wear their heart on their sleeve, it's much easier for me to conceptualize them because I'm getting an idea of what's going on the inside. Zach, for whatever reason, it's hard to tell why, is not really revealing much about his inner life. Does that mean that he's protective of his inner life? Does that mean he's not in connection with his inner life? Does that mean that he has a very confusing inner life? It's just hard to tell based on what we've seen.
So you feel as though you can be committed to her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cal really expresses well with his face, I think, what a lot of us might be feeling. Like, wait, you feel like you could be committed, but you won't move in with her. You've had almost no romantic interactions with her. It seems like you're flirting with her friend, and you agreed to talk after the filming had ended, which seems like maybe you were going to start dating her friend. So how do these things match up?
Zach, help me understand. This hasn't been a steady upward movement.
No.
This has pretty much been steadily declining. Up to this point, you have sucked as a husband. She was getting married at first sight because she really wanted to be married.
Now, I will always defend Zach if he just doesn't want to be in this marriage. As I've said from the beginning, it seems as though Zach signed up for this project in a honest way. He wanted to get married. He wanted to fall in love. When he started to interact with Mindy, the chemistry just wasn't there for whatever reason. That happens. It happens all the time. Usually it's not after marriage. Usually it's on a first date, or you meet up at a coffee shop from Tindering, or you talk with someone at a party and you think, well, yeah, they're attractive, but I don't really feel it with this person. Moving on. Happens all the time. So I will always defend someone that is on the show and is like, oh my God, I signed up for this thing hoping it would work out, thinking that these experts were really good at matching people up, and they did not match me up with someone that I have any chemistry with, and I don't know what to do, and I have all these cameras, and I agreed to be on the show. I don't know what. I totally get that. So if that's what's going on for him, There's nothing wrong with that. No harm, no foul. You didn't have chemistry. The experts did not hook you up with the right person. So maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. Now, I wonder if the people on the show are allowed to say that because they have, 15 episodes or something that they have to shoot. Are they allowed to say on episode 2, by the way, I'm bowing out? I mean, all of you maybe have watched all the other seasons. I don't know if that happens. But it seems like maybe Zach would have said that if he had an option to do that. I don't know. I really have no idea.
But from the day you've been married, there hasn't been any kind of noticeable effort to be married. Why the heck now should you even continue? Why?
I do want to make this a positive experience, and I only want positive memories.
You're talking about a positive experience. I'm talking about a successful marriage.
Yeah, I'm glad that I don't think Zach deserves to be beat up in this moment, but I think it is a good tactic to try to lock down what Zach is actually saying. And I think that Zach and Mindy could both benefit from Zach figuring out and really getting to brass tacks on this. That he asks him, you're not really doing it. And then Zach says, well, I want it to be a positive experience. What does that mean, Zach? that doesn't mean anything, doesn't say anything. And so Cal confronts, and that's good. I wonder, I doubt Zach is going to clarify his position because he never has up until this point. But if he's ever gonna, it's with Cal's very, sharp mind and sharp questions. Let's see what happens here.
Should you even continue? Why?
I do want to make this a positive experience, and I only want positive memories.
You're talking about a positive experience. I'm talking about a successful marriage, where you're saying, I'm going to be yours, you're going to be mine, to have and to hold, for better, for worse, till death do us part. That is a marriage. She didn't want just a positive experience. She didn't want just a friendship. She wants a freaking marriage.
Right.
Can you give her that?
Yes.
So just, cool and calm, yes, I can give her that. And then Cal has this exasperated face. Yeah. You would think there would be something more there from Zach. Again, explaining his inner experience. Maybe he says something like, well, I want to, and I want to fall in love, but I'm having a really hard time doing it. And I think there's a chance. As every day goes by, I think there's less of a chance, but I still think there's a chance. And I'm trying. And I think, I have my plan. Like, Zach has never asserted himself, and I'm beginning to kind of maybe get a conceptualization of him. He's never exhibited leaning into this scenario. He seems to be kind of blankly reacting to what's happening around him, as if he's trying to appear like a invisible rock in a stream with the water just going over him. That lends itself to a difficult childhood of abuse where you benefited from being as non-committal as possible and as invisible as possible, where if you never commit to anything, you can never be abused for what you might commit to. If you come across like you're a rock among many in a riverbed, then people will ignore you and you won't be hurt. Total speculation. But his way of being is so pronounced that I would imagine it's either something like that, where he had to somehow suppress who he is or develop this habitual, very odd way of even thinking and communicating. So it's either some sort of defense that he built growing up, which I haven't seen before. And of course, someone like this wouldn't come into therapy because they don't seem to have an expression of their inner life very much. And so it's either something like that, or he decided a long time ago that he was just going to ride out this season, and when the season ends, he's going to get divorced, and he's going to just try not to screw it up along the way, and he's extremely, uptight the entire time, and is just trying to say what he thinks people want to hear. But he's sort of confused about, like, how do you do that? So I could see a scenario where Zach, outside of the show, comes across like a regular guy, but on this show, because he realized he doesn't have chemistry with Mindy, he's just like, oh, what do I do? Well, if I just get real uptight, I won't make any mistakes and no one will hate me. I could imagine a scenario like that. Who knows? I could see other scenarios, but those are the two that come to mind.
Zach, with all due respect, I don't even believe you. I'm calling BS, man. Do you believe in what you're saying?
I do.
It's really difficult to get a good read on Zach. Is he trying to promote a business or a modeling career? Or does he feel like just hanging around for 8 weeks is going to make him look like a good guy?
Right. So Cal is expressing the second hypothesis I was saying. I mean, is sort of extending it into, is Zach just trying to promote a business or something? So I guess that could be a thing too. I don't know what it's like to be on the show. I'm not really that even familiar with reality TV to be honest. But it does stand to reason, I guess, that some people would just go on the show because it's a business move, right? They get their brand recognized on the internet. They get a lot of Instagram followers, and then they can start working on the next phase of their business life or something. It's a perfectly viable way of doing this. So that's maybe what's happening is Zach was like, well, I want to enhance my business, but I also want to fall in love. Uh-oh, I'm not falling in love. Well, let's enhance my business and let's continue with this season. I'll try to look as suave and as nice as possible. I'm not going to get in any kind of dramas. I'll come out of this unscathed. I'll divorce, no harm, no foul. My brand will be enhanced, but maybe he's so confused he doesn't know how to do that without coming across as completely disingenuous, which is what Cal is picking up on.
I've got news for Zach. It doesn't. But I can't force anyone to get a divorce. Zach, don't screw around with her heart. Don't, man.
I still see hope.
What actions are you willing to take to let her know whoever that guy was the last month, he's gone? What can you do?
I think I need to speak to her a lot more often and much more clearly. And I think the time together is going to be critical because any ounce of lack of time together has really shown, and it shows on camera.
So I just want to point out how odd that answer is. So he is asking Zach, essentially, what are you going to do? You say, Zach, that you have optimism and positivity and intention of falling in love and making this marriage work. What are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to have a lot more conversations with her. Huh? Like, yeah, maybe. But how about, like, I want to get naked with her and roll around. I want to hold her hand. I want to look into her eyes and really get to know her and have fun times together, fall in love, dating, that kind of stuff. Let's see if he says something like that.
Screw the cameras. I don't want you to do this for the cameras. Don't act married. Be married.
Do you think that Zach is going to recommit to you?
I don't know.
You've got the stuff. You've got the stuff to be a good wife. If Zach were to say that he does want to recommit to you, it's put up or shut up time. He's had the last 5 weeks to do this his way, in his own time, without at times even considering what you're going through and your side of all of this.
Right. I'll totally grant that. That's a good point. When I say that I'll defend Zach for not feeling it with Mindy. It happens all the time. But I will not defend Zach for if it's true that he did not feel chemistry right from the beginning and sort of in his mind decide, this isn't going to work. I will not defend him stringing this along and continuing to make Mindy wait for Zach to do something. That's completely unfair.
It's time to have expectations that if unfulfilled, there's a consequence, like ending your marital contract. That seems really serious. But the only worst thing is to hold on to something just because you want to feel like the good guy. So let's make some demands. What do you need to see that he is being genuine?
All right. So she was doing pretty good, I thought, of emulating therapy. Now, this isn't therapy, but it's from a therapist. She's the one therapist on the expert panel that I'm assuming has done clinical services before. So it was looking like what could have been a therapy session in that she was asking Mindy what her thoughts were, what she intended. But then she just introduced this idea, which I'm guessing the producers had a conversation of, we want Mindy to make some demands. We want her to make a list of demands. So you, therapist, get Mindy to make that list. So another way of doing this in therapy might be to say, so would it help to make a list of demands? Do you think that would help? You're being more tentative and you're throwing it out there, and allow Mindy to make that choice of like, oh, maybe that would help. Now, I can't imagine a therapist ever saying that of like, well, let's make a list of demands on your spouse for them to put up or shut up, or, go number 2 or get off the pot. I'm trying not to swear. Or to rise to the occasion. Now, I can't imagine a therapist suggesting that a client make an ultimatum to someone like that. If a client wanted to make an ultimatum, that seemed to make some sense, then a therapist might support that. But anyway, let's continue watching.
I know it doesn't sound like much, but I need to see him outside of filming.
That sounds really minimal. Let's take it up a notch. What would be number 2?
So they don't see each other outside of filming because what we've seen in the past few episodes of them while they're being filming has been not romantic and not anything resembling a loving relationship.
He needs to be transparent about the relationship that he's had with my friend. I would like to see the messages.
What's number 3? Let's amp it up even more.
He needs to tell me what he's accused me of lying about, or confess that he was making that up, which... Yeah,
these are all great. Off the top of her head, Mindy has some great, requests, let's just put them.
That's really how I feel. I didn't lie to him about anything.
Okay.
And he has to move in. Those 4 things.
Okay. I do hope you'll be 100% committed to advocating for yourself. So that said, go talk to Zach. I want you to share with him your demands. But if it doesn't happen, are you at a place where you can say, then this is over?
Yes.
I like this meeting. Again, it's not therapy, but it was much more collaborative than other meetings we've seen on the show, and validating to Mindy's position. For the record, I can't imagine Zach agreeing to these demands. I can't imagine him following through on it, though. Everything is pointing in the opposite direction. All right, if you haven't hit the bell below, that will notify you when we put up a new episode. So hit the bell. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.